There are very few trails, very few pathways through this wilderness on foot.
For all practical purposes, the bush in between these lakes is unexplored.
Dr. Kurt Nelson is a microbiologist at the University of Minnesota. He's anxious to examine the screw board for any remaining blood, hair, or tissue. DNA could provide the most conclusive proof of the creature's identity.
This is really a remarkable spot.
Thanks.
Wow, this looks great. It's a good place.
So this is the nail board that Chuck made to prevent that animal from coming back in here and wrecking the place.
Right.
And he said that there was a good blood stain on it.
Right. Somewhere in here in the center, he said there was quite a pool of blood, but I guess it's been sitting out here in the weather for the past 2 years, and at this point, I don't see anything remaining.
Yeah, if there was a dried sample of blood there, that'd be worth taking, but anything that's been subjected to the weather is going to be totally degraded DNA.
The backside may have preserved a sample that we could use.
Well, there is a stain there. It looks like this is where it was.
There's some material clinging to the threads on these screws in a few places. Does that look like tissue to you?
It kind of does.
Well, maybe this is tissue. We should probably collect the sample just to be on the safe side, take it back, and have a closer look at it in the lab.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little bit of this. It's really drying onto these screws. It's hard to get it off.
I didn't hold out much hope for the possibility of DNA from this old blood sample, but with these threaded screws and what may be tissue samples, it's a whole new ballgame.
Who or what left the flesh, blood, and hair behind? The answers may be as easy as connecting the dots.
So if you start just on this edge where the blood leaked behind and look at the screws that have this tissue on them, I think that one maybe does. This one is for sure covered.
I'll mark that one.
And that one's too rusty, you can't tell.
That one for sure. This one I'm not quite... Let me look, because this helps.
It almost seems to have a hair attached to it.
Well, we would call it a fiber at this stage of the investigation.
Yeah. So, I don't know, do you think it's a positive screw?
That's kind of questionable.
I'd say it's questionable. That one for
Definitely
sure.
here. What if we just now try to connect the dots and just get an overall idea of the general shape of what we're looking at and size of this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Hair and tissue.
Of course, we have no nails over here.
Yeah, there just is no nail.
Then we end up with something that looks more like this.
The bloody outline reveals what appears to be a large footprint.
But it doesn't take a lot of imagination to extend that out, and you've got essentially the outline of a Sasquatch footprint.
This simulation illustrates Nelson and Meldrum's theory. The creature put its full weight on the screws, forcing them an inch into its foot. The creature likely was shocked and stepped back off the porch the same way it had entered, ripping hair and large pieces of tissue from the foot as it left.
So I'd say we're looking at a footprint that is at least 17, if not 18 inches long. The flesh samples were stunning as we noticed it. I mean, at first I was a little dubious, and what had appeared to be just red paint then obviously was not, was dried blood, and the pattern of distribution was quite distinct. So there's a very good likelihood we'll be able to, it was something with a much larger, very distinctively shaped foot.